welcome back to the show. I'm here with Sky Jatani.
Hello, Phil.
Hi, Sky. And Christian Taylor.
Hey.
Hi, Christian. You're not black or gray.
No, I'm not.
And you're not brightly colored today.
No, I'm more subdued and pastel, but don't we look like Easter eggs?
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm light blue, although I'm sure in video it looks white.
You guys look like
I'm
Easter
pink.
eggs. Yeah. What's going on?
I don't know. I just felt the soft pink
You
today.
guys doing something after this that I don't know about?
I just grab what doesn't smell. Meaning clothing.
I'd like to apply that to every facet of my life.
And I dress what I feel.
If it doesn't smell, grab it. Okay, we do have, let me do the theme song, and then we'll introduce our guest, which will be very exciting.
There's thunder rolling.
It was thunder. We have thunder here.
I think there's a song about the thunder roll.
And our guest doesn't know anything about having to endure harsh weather conditions. Hey, it's a podcast. What do you know? Hey, it's a podcast. And we got video. Hey, it's a podcast. So lend an ear. The Phil Vischer podcast starts right here. We'll talk to Sky.
Hi, Phil.
And Christian, too.
Hey, Phil.
And we've got a guest right here for you.
Woohoo!
Who's actually Skyping in from Lincoln, Nebraska. Oh, the rain has begun. Hey, it's a podcast, so lend an ear. The Phil Vischer podcast starts right here. The Phil Vischer podcast starts right here. Okay.
That was relatively good, Phil.
Thank you. Well, I want to impress our guest. We have a guest. He's Skyping in from Lincoln, Nebraska, from the home office in Lincoln, Nebraska. His name is Sam Larson. Sam, say hi.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on, you guys.
Is it raining in Lincoln?
You know, it actually is. It's pouring. Where are you guys based out of?
Really? We're outside Chicago.
Oh, okay. No, it's pouring here, and you know it's usually pretty dry, but no, we're soaked.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Kind of like what you did last year when you were. Did you come back? When did you?
Well, start at the beginning.
Okay. All right. We'll start at the beginning. There is a show. There's a show on the History Channel.
Oh, I forgot Taco. Hold on.
We don't have Taco the Bell?
We're going to need him.
Yeah, we're going to need it. We have a product placement bell, Sam, and whenever we mention a product or a brand, we ring a bell.
And we want to make sure history gets their due.
Because a corporate angel gets its wings.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice. So we got an email. We got a Facebook post from
Mitch Larson. Yeah.
Mitch Larson.
He's a faithful listener.
Who said, "Hey,"
big fan.
He said, "What does your dad sound like?" Because I didn't hear his voice. Is he really grovelly? Is he huge and grovelly?
No, I heard his voice. It's not. It's actually not too dissimilar from Sam's. Just a wee bit older. Just a pitch older.
Because I was going to do an impression of him, but I was thinking he'd be grovelly.
No, he's not.
Okay, he's like Sam.
Yeah, imitate Sam and you'll be pleased.
So he said, "Hey, I love your podcast. It's great."
That's
very enthusiastic, like Sam.
He said, "I'm a big fan. This sounds just like you." That's what he said to me.
He said, "You don't know this, but my son is one of the finalists on the show Alone." And I thought, wait, I think I've heard of that. It's on the History Channel. It's a survival show on History Channel. Let me read the summary of the show. Here's the summary of the show. 10 men enter the Vancouver Island wilderness carrying only what they can fit in a small backpack. They are alone in harsh, unforgiving terrain with a single mission: stay alive as long as they can.
Uh-oh, that sounds ominous.
Sam, do you know how many of the contestants actually died? Was it
about 0 contestants died.
Actually, okay.
What a spoiler alert.
Lots of other things died, though, I'm sure.
These men must hunt, including their dignity.
Yes,
These men...
animals were harmed during the making of Alone. But no men died. We were all happy and doing well.
Okay, that's good. That's impressive. And there was no permanent physical damage to anyone, as far as we know.
Not to me. No, I did pretty. Fingers and toes all there. I dried out, and I'm ready to roll.
These men must hunt, build shelters, and fend off predators. They will endure extreme isolation and psychological distress as they plunge into the unknown and document the experience themselves. No camera crew, no producers. It is the ultimate test of man's will. Dump, dump, dump.
Do you know how long I would last? Probably. I mean, I would give myself maybe half a day.
Do you know?
Not through the night.
So each man could pick 10 items to take in with him from a list of like 40. Is that right, Sam?
I never counted what was actually on the list number-wise, but basically, yeah.
Yeah. The 10 items that you could take in with you, and then a satellite phone. And when you couldn't take it no more, you used the satellite phone, and then you tapped out. And then they would come and rescue you. But no one was anywhere close to you, so even that took a few hours.
What if the phone got busted or something?
You die. But they still find your tapes, and you can still be on the show.
You sign that waiver.
So let me just make sure. This is unlike Naked and Afraid, because I'm assuming you were clothed.
They get clothes.
Do you get clothes? Because is that on the list?
Well, we could have done it without clothes, but it would have been called Naked and Dead at that time. Because right now it's like 33 degrees and raining on the show. So
it gets down. In one of the shows, it got down to 17 degrees.
Oh my! Wow. So what months was this show filmed?
Well, it was like late fall is when it started. Late fall.
Oh, so you're going through the winter.
And then it was 40 days? Is that what it was?
No, it was as long as you could last. We don't know how long it went. In fact, in the promo, it said, in the invitation for next season's contestants, it said willing to live in the wild alone for up to a year.
Oh, my.
Wow. How do you begin
to edit that? So, Sam, can you tell us how long you lasted?
No, he can't. He can't tell us that.
He can't?
It hasn't aired yet.
Oh.
Well, everything's aired except the final episode, right?
Yeah, right.
So Sam's one of the finalists.
So here's the deal. Okay, Sam.
Phil apparently binge-watched it this weekend, I have to say.
Sam, I'm not a huge fan of survival shows, especially since someone decided that the only way you're really surviving is if you don't have any clothes on, and it just got ridiculous.
That's bad naked.
Bad naked.
There's good naked and there's bad naked.
That is definitely bad naked.
What's good naked, Sky?
I don't want to talk about that.
At home in your bedroom. That's good naked. You can be free.
Dear.
I'm just saying.
Well, sorry, kids. We just lost our PG-13.
Well, like Andy Crouch did a talk once. I think he said he happened to be in Europe, and he went to a beach where there was a lot of nude bathers, and he realized that for like 95% of the human population, clothing is a gift.
Yes, right.
So
this is true.
There's a lot of bad naked on
TV. Okay. So this is a show. I thought, we can have Sam on the show. His dad's a listener. We want to, support our listeners.
And he's a believer.
We want to support our listeners and their believer wilderness sons. And but I've never seen the show. I should probably watch an episode so I can talk about it with some form of intelligence.
Which, Sam, you should know is rare for Phil to actually
It is so rare. He actually prepared for the show.
Yeah. We've reviewed movies without ever having seen them.
This is quite the intellectual show.
Yeah, so I said I'll watch like the first episode to see the setup, and then I'll watch the current episode to see where they are now. So I watched the first episode, and I actually really got into it. And I was like, and my wife came by, and I said, okay, sit down. I'm going to watch the second episode with you. And then she said, okay, but then I get to pick something I want to watch. I'll watch this with you. So we got to the end of the second episode. She said, keep going. And so we binge watched the whole
So how many
series.
Episodes did you watch?
Well, they're hour long, so there were 10.
Okay.
You watched 10 hours.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. They must have been really good.
We watched 10 hours of Alone over the weekend.
That's... that would be impressive if you weren't talking to somebody who actually lived all of those episodes in the wilderness.
That's true.
No, it was an amazing feat of survival. My wife and I this weekend on the couch with Dairy Queen survived 10 hours of television.
Of Alone.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and our dog, we had to fend him off. He tried to go for our Dairy Queen. We didn't have weapons.
See, this is why you will not survive the end of Western civilization, and Sam will.
So you didn't hallucinate. You didn't get dehydrated.
No, none of that. We were great. I had to go to the bathroom a couple times, but I made it. Okay.
Did you go to the bathroom, or did you use like a bottle?
I don't want to answer that question.
That's okay.
Sam Larson's from hometown Lincoln, Nebraska. By profession, he is a customer relations representative. Here's his bio as sent to me by the History Channel. Sam works for a large outdoor gear retailer in Lincoln, Nebraska. What is it, REI?
Nope.
Can you say the name, or you're not supposed to say the name?
I don't know if I'm supposed to say. I'll ask him, and then I'll tweet you, and then I can.
Because we want all your fans to go there and bother you.
You can tell it, and if the answer's no, we can cut it out.
No, we don't edit. No editing. Where he lives with his wife, Sydney. My youngest daughter's name is Sydney, spelled the same way. Sam has been studying wilderness living and survival skills for most of his life. His interest in the wild lifestyle began in elementary school when he saw an arrowhead exhibit at a natural history museum. Seriously? Is that true, Sam?
That's accurate. Yeah, the tour kept going on through like the 30s and 40s and 50s and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was like stuck in the primitive side of things at the museum. I kind of snuck away from the class.
And so you saw arrowheads and you said, I want to be a survivalist.
Yeah, I mean, they were incredible, thinking that people could actually make those.
Okay, so you wanted to make stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
hunt with it, yeah.
But not inside.
No.
Right.
Outside.
Right,
well,
outside.
I suppose.
Because you can make arrowheads inside.
I suppose you can.
While you're watching TV. While you're watching other people do manly things on television.
While eating Dairy Queen.
I think a lot of people do that, actually.
I think they do. At 14, he sold most of his belongings to pay for a canoe expedition in northern Ontario. I did not do that.
How many possessions do you have at 14?
He sold his sister.
There was my piggy bank.
The arrowheads he made.
I think I owned a football.
How did your parents feel about you canoeing through northern Ontario at age 14?
Yeah.
Well, I was with a few other guys. It was kind of like a scout trip.
Okay.
And I worked really, really hard, I remember, so I could go on it. And it was spectacular up there in the Canadian Shield.
As you pursued this whole lifestyle as a young adult, did your parents ever discourage you from doing it or express any fears about what you were doing?
Well, that's an awesome question, because, I mean, there was a part where they were like, hey, Sam, what are you going to major in college? And I was like, wilderness skills. And they were like, I don't think that exists. But you're our son. No, that's great. But, yeah, I think after they saw that I was really thinking things through, and they knew I was a highly motivated individual who really stuck to his goals and stuff. And so they trusted me after a while, and then when I landed a TV show, I think they're okay with the idea.
Said, oh, okay, his ship has come in.
Well, I will say your father is extremely proud of you, and that showed over the phone call, the 10-minute phone call I had. So,
but it isn't like you grew up in a wilderness family or something where this was just the lifestyle that you guys all did. This is unique to you. Your parents weren't into this. It wasn't.
My dad is a worship pastor here in Lincoln.
So he's into survival too.
I think we went camping one time and he got like really cranky after not showering for a couple days.
Yeah, he's my kind of guy.
He's the nicest guy ever,
I grew up in a family where like a 2-star hotel was considered camping.
Roughing it, right?
Yeah, we didn't.
That's how I grew up basically, and so it was definitely something that. It was a unique thing that God kind of put into my life.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So after high school, Sam traveled to northern Maine to study bushcraft.
With like a Yoda figure? Who teaches bushcraft?
This is a new term for me. Is it where you learn to cut bushes into interesting shapes, like Mickey Mouse?
Yeah, giraffes,
That's like topiary work, isn't it?
Or bushcraft.
Bushcraft... That's like witchcraft, only with bushes.
All right, stop this madness. All right, Sam. What is bushcraft?
What's bushcraft?
And were you like majoring in that in college, or was this a special
There's
school?
No bushcraft major.
It was
you
kind
don't
of a
know.
trade
Are you the
school.
expert on bushcraftery? I don't think so. Go ahead, Sam.
The term is a little bit more well known in like Britain and all that.
Oh.
But bushcraft, I guess if I could sum it up, is like making a lifestyle out of the forest. So being able to utilize what you have in your environment and minimal other tools to live comfortably in a wilderness environment.
Comfortably being the operative word.
Yeah.
It's all relative, I think.
Nothing in this show appeared comfortable.
No, I wouldn't think so. Okay, so was that a college or was that a special school?
It was a trade school.
Okay.
What?
Like a guide training school.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that makes sense.
And so graduates of this school do what?
They do they teach survival skills themselves. A lot of them move on to do other things, become like outdoor educators and such. And a lot of them just go on to go about their everyday lives. They get jobs like, that become lawyers or accountants and all that, but they still have, the special skills that they learned out in the forest to help them with their real jobs.
Or they become Unabombers.
Sky.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm just saying, because then they can survive out in like a Ted Kaczynski
Sky.
town.
That's just terrible.
All right, what the next?
You've offended the entire bushcraft community.
I think they forgive you. I think they do.
Thank you.
Okay.
I speak for them.
But his bio is not over yet.
Okay, keep going.
So how old were you? Where did you live in Maine?
In the bush.
It was Aroostook County, which is like the northern part surrounded by Canada on 3 sides.
Ooh.
So it's really, really...
Were there any hostilities with the Canadians?
Yeah, I mean, there was some weird border stuff. They we were trying to trade red hot dogs with the locals, and I'm just kidding. None of that's accurate. No, Canadians are awesome.
Canadians are peace
Canadians
loving.
during the show.
Yeah.
I love them.
We have Canadian listeners.
we
I
do.
bet, yeah.
We do.
Canada, America's hat.
I love Canada.
Okay, so you were there in Maine. Although he enjoyed his time there, Sam had the urge to experience a new environment, so he sold his truck to purchase a plane ticket to Arizona, where he lived under an army poncho and learned from one of his bushcraft mentors.
Where in Arizona?
South Arizona?
Southern, so like really hot Arizona.
Well, it was about 7,000 to 8,000 feet altitude.
Oh, you got altitude.
So it was actually really, really nice for the most part.
So why living under an army poncho?
Well, there weren't any hotels. So, no, that's just a lot of people live under army ponchos out in the woods. Kind of like a tarp.
A lot of people?
What do you mean when you say a lot of people? Like 7?
At least 4.
Okay, that you know of personally.
That I know of. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. I didn't realize there was a whole like bushcrafting community. Mm-hmm. What do you guys all do when you get together? Like
Whittle.
Whittle. Yeah.
Skin.
Start fires.
Are there like chat rooms where you discuss how to survive things or what?
There is a huge online community. It's a lot of canoeing.
Okay.
A lot of that goes on. Lots of hiking and crafting things, making things out of trees and animal hide and stuff like that. So
okay.
It's a lot of fun.
Do you think there's a growing interest in all this because we've become so technologically dependent that there's like a counterculture reaction?
Yeah, it's like people making their own pickles. It's a return to handcrafting.
Well, or do you think it's people think the end of the world is near and I better learn how to survive out in the wilderness with no electricity?
There's a lot on both sides.
The zombie
I think
apocalypse and all
the
that?
people I like to hang out usually more with are the the people who prefer just being a part of nature.
So not the crazy ones.
Are they antisocial people? Like people that don't like people?
No, not necessarily. I mean, there's kind of one in every crowd, but no, mostly just really, really nice guys and great community, great senses of humor.
So tell me, how did you hear? Oh, then after that, wait, he's not done. The following year, Sam traveled to New Mexico, where he traversed the Gila Wilderness. I have no idea.
What is that?
It's a wilderness.
Gila, Mexican. But,
Gila.
Yeah.
Close. Good try.
Thank you. With only minimal gear and no clothes. No, it doesn't say that. It says, and a handful of granola. Is that true?
That's true. Yeah, that was really, really difficult, actually.
Oh, it sounds like it.
How far is that? What kind of distance are you talking?
I did it in 6 days, and it's approximately 100 miles.
On a handful of granola.
Yeah, it was kind of a practice in fasting and such. So there's a lot of fasting involved.
You didn't eat anything on that 6 days other than your handful of granola?
Yep, granola and a few dandelions I was able to find. Beyond that, though, just drinking a lot of water, melting down some of the snow that was there and drinking it.
And you find all of this fun?
Well, there they're kind of different types of fun. You know, some things are legitimately fun when you're doing it. Some things are more fun to talk about later.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay. We've gotten down to the core of it now.
It's not fun, but it's adventurous.
Yeah.
You know, adventure is kind of my hobby, not
Right,
just fun
right.
per se.
Okay. So how did you hear about this show? On a chat room with your canoe friends?
The Alone show.
Oh, about this show?
Yeah.
No,
find
I just
out
got
about it?
I got a call from a casting person, and they had found my blog.
Oh, they found you.
Yeah. If you want to ting your bell, I can say what it is.
Yeah,
but,
go.
Okay. Okay. Say it. Well, we ting afterwards.
Woodsongwilderness.com.
Sorry, say it again. I messed you up.
Woodsongwilderness.com. That's the ting.
Is that your
That's
blog?
the blog. I feel like someone just gave like good service at Arby's or something.
They did.
But
That one's for Arby's.
So they found your blog, called you up, and said, and what was their pitch? Because just sounds crazy.
they were like, "Hey Sam, we're making a new survival show. It's really unique. We're gonna put you out in the middle of the woods alone with your own camera gear, so you have to film it yourself. Really, really minimal equipment, and we're just gonna leave you out there until you decide it's time to be done with it." And I thought that was like the coolest thing anyone had ever asked me to do. And so I was like, "Oh yeah, sign me up." And later they were like, "Oh well, there's a $500,000 prize and all that." I wasn't really into the money prize or anything, but I think that it's really cool to just be able to have an experience like that. Absolutely.
Had you ever considered, because there are other survival shows ever since Survivor, had you considered doing that in the past, or was this an opportunity, an idea that came out of the blue when the casting director called you up?
Well, I had a couple other opportunities to participate in casting of shows, but it got down to it, and it kind of seemed like they were going to be a little too scripted for my liking. There's a lot of fake shows where they put dead rabbits in traps and oh, I caught a rabbit.
Wait a minute, are you telling me reality TV is not all reality?
I don't know. I don't know, but
I'm devastated.
A lot of shows do that apparently, and I didn't want to be a part of one of them, but I found this place, and I'll tell you what, I didn't get any dead rabbits given to me.
Right.
That's for sure.
So did they ask you to audition, or did they just say, "We love you, you're in"?
Oh no, I was nobody. Kind of similar to now, but a little more people know me now. But they said, "Hey, audition. Do some filming for us. Do a few interviews and."
Oh, okay.
The casting process.
So
after
you
that.
had to film yourself to show them that you could film yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot about storytelling. They wanted to be able to know that we could communicate a story.
Yeah.
Before they were like, "Hey, film a show for television,"
Right. And did you meet any of the other contestants beforehand?
Yeah, we all got to meet each other. Great bunch of guys, all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, we hung out, learned a little bit about how to use the cameras that they were giving us.
Right.
So yeah, what interaction we had was really great.
Okay, so they were sending you out to stay as long as you could. What?
Yep.
No?
Yes.
Okay. How long did they think that would be? How long did you think that would be?
Well, it's such an interesting question, because that's something that they asked in those beginning interviews. It was, so how long can you last in the woods? Could you last a year? Could you last 6 months? And I was like, no, I wouldn't want to be out for that long. And I think they appreciated that I was real in my answer, and I think a lot of guys said, "Oh yeah, a year, 2 years, no problem. I can be isolated in the wilderness for 2 years." But I had kind of done a little bit of it before, and knew how being solo really affects you psychologically. And so I said, the whole thing, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months or so. I thought it would last, maybe 4 if someone was out there just full on a hermit, you know.
Right. So I have a couple of questions about the show, since I'm the only one here who's not seen it. And I'm assuming some of our listeners, viewers, have not seen it either.
Right.
When somebody uses their satellite phone and taps out, do the other contestants know that they've tapped out?
No.
So you have no idea if you're...
No idea if it's all 10 or if it's just 2 of you left.
Okay.
That was the funniest question early on because they thought there was going to be some Hunger Games thing with like
the cannon.
The cannon.
in the sky. Yeah.
In fact, one of the funnest things watching the show is the reactions of the people. The first, I think, 5 guys that tap out are all convinced they're the first one, and they're ashamed.
Oh.
And then they're told.
What about the first one? Who was he really ashamed?
The first guy taps out in 12 hours.
What?
Hey, it was tough out there.
Why did he tap out?
You're laughing while you're sitting on the sofa with your Dairy Queen.
No, but the point is, I never would have said, "Hey, I can do that."
That's true.
If you say, "Hey, I can do that," I can live out there for as long as a year. To then only make it 12 hours seems a little underwhelming.
Was there some mitigating circumstance?
It involved a bear. It was a situation involving a bear. Because, and they tell you this up front, because certainly it comes up in the marketing once you get into the show. Vancouver Island, which is a pretty big island, has, I forget how many black bears, a gazillion black bears, has about 200 wolves on it and 1,000 cougars.
Oh, wow.
Not older women.
No, not older women seeking younger men. Cougars.
Real live ones with 4 legs.
It is the #1 site for cougar attacks, I think, in the world. I don't know, or at least North America.
Okay, and if...
Did they tell you that, Sam?
Yeah, and we Googled it, definitely.
You Googled it. You had to Google how dangerous the area was.
Yeah, we generally knew what it was like, but saying there's bears out there is a lot different than when the bear comes at you huffing and puffing from 30 feet away.
Right.
It's a little different, seeing it on Wikipedia and seeing it in real life.
So when they set you guys out there with your satellite phone, did they guarantee that, hey, if you call us, we're like Domino's Pizza, we'll be there in 30 minutes to pick you up? Or how did you know?
No, one guy had to do that because he had a bear that he thought was stalking him. And so he just said, "I'm done. You got to come get me." It was the middle of the night. It took them 3.5 hours to get to him. So they filmed the rescuers trying to find him, wondering, when was the last time you heard from him? Is he still okay?
Yeah.
So it seemed risky, Sam.
Well, was that the first guy?
No, that was like the third guy. The first guy, he felt a bear breathing up against his back through the canvas tent.
Oh, gosh.
So it was actually just outside his tent. And he said, "This isn't worth it." It was funny how quickly people reevaluate their desire to win $500,000.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And I think watching the whole series, just about everyone at some point says, "You know what? This isn't just about the money anymore. This is about me trying to prove something to myself, or this is about me wanting to get home to see my kids." Most of them had kids, too, were married and had kids, so they were leaving their families and their kids, and then there's a cougar staring into your tent, and you're thinking, "Why am I doing this?" And some of them said that out loud right on camera. "Why am I doing this?" And then my wife and I would say, "Oh, he's next. He's going to tap out."
During the course of the show, did any of the contestants accidentally stumble upon one another? And when that happened, are they allowed to kill the other person?
Sky.
In what I saw, no, that never happened. And they said they set him up so they wouldn't be able to find each other, right, Sam?
Well, after the first week or so, for those of you who've seen it, they're all the guys who were there that left kind of left a lot of open space to roam too.
Okay.
So there were even bigger gaps between people, like Lucas, who is this crazy talented man who builds a canoe.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you think when you watch the show and you see him building his own canoe? Why didn't I build a canoe? This is such a great idea.
I don't know about that. No, I don't possess all of the particular skills that Lucas has.
Yeah.
That guy has been doing it for so long, and he's had so many great kind of mentors along the way that he just has these really great talents, and he's really crafty, and he's really kind of likes to build things, and so he probably
went to bushcraft school.
Is he the other finalist?
No, he was one of the final 4. And his arc, his story arc is real. And that's what's interesting about the guys that stay on the longest, because after 6 days, 6 of the 10 guys are gone.
That's not very long.
6 of the 10 guys tap out in the first week.
Wow.
The remaining 4, of which Sam is one of, I believe Sam go to 40 days.
Oh.
All 4 of them last more than a month. And those guys you really get to know well. And those guys, it becomes interesting to see what's the difference in psychology, because it had, at that point, it had nothing to do with survival skills.
Because they all had it, clearly.
Yeah, they all had survival skills. It was psychology. And it was how do they handle themselves when they're alone. And, you know, and that's where, Sam, I thought it really got interesting, you know, when you watch all the episodes, is just seeing the differences in temperament. And, you know, because Lucas is high as a kite, and then he's weeping, and, you know, but then Alan is just cracking his jokes and being, you know, like John Cleese in the forest the whole way through. Alan's hilarious. You gotta watch the show. You know, and Sam, you were just, you know, really even keeled throughout until you started starving to death on your mouse a day diet. How many days? Okay, I have some specific questions for you, and this is because I've watched the show. You hardly ever showed up in the first couple of episodes. Did you forget to turn on your camera?
No, I mean, the first week or so is kind of a blur.
Yeah.
I made this big rain catch thing, which was actually really, really useful.
Yeah, yeah.
I
He
just
hollowed out a tree and then filled it with a liner to catch rainwater. So he had a better source of water than most of the others. Especially than the military guy who just took creek water and then filtered it through moss and then started hallucinating.
Oh, gosh.
He may have known that was going to happen.
I think the producers told him, oh, it'll be fine, try it. And then they chuckled. Okay, so you did that. But you didn't show up. You don't show up.
Well, he probably didn't have anything interesting happen, I'm guessing, in the first...
There were enough guys flipping out in the first week.
So it's time-wise, you know, as a producer.
But you're the youngest guy there. You're only 22, and there were 40-year-olds there, you know, and they keep cutting to these 40-year-olds saying, ah, why am I here? And then they cut back to you, and you're yodeling to a wolf on the other side of the lake and laughing about it.
Wolves are great, actually.
In what way? In what way do you mean?
I don't know. They're such an awesome critter. I don't know. They're my favorite. I love
to
howling
eat
wolves.
or to play with them or what?
I don't know about killing wolves because they kind of remind me of my corgi just a little bit.
Yes. A corgi is
I have
so
a
wolf-like.
corgi fox mix or a corgi wolf mix.
You know,
it's interesting.
Being a bushmaster, I figured you'd pick a different breed than the same one that the queen has.
It wasn't my choice, really.
Oh, this is your wife's dog, huh?
I am married, yeah. So.
Say no more.
And under what poncho did you meet your wife?
High school, actually.
The high school poncho.
Oh, wow.
The high school poncho.
Is she outdoorsy?
Yeah. No, she's really not.
Okay.
She's probably a princess.
Did you go camping together for your honeymoon?
We did on my honeymoon. We had this one little 2-man tent, and yeah, it was a crammed little place, and
which is good when you're newly married.
Where'd you pitch it?
Ely, Minnesota, actually.
Oh.
We went up there around the Boundary Waters, and we had a really good time. That's the only time I've actually been camping with her.
Yeah.
And
then she said, okay, honey,
again.
that's enough.
No, I think she might be a little bit tougher than me, and I don't want her to take hold of that. So I keep her away a little bit. You kind of like cooking outdoors.
Yeah,
you know,
so she doesn't show you up.
Okay, so tell me what else he did, Phil.
Okay. So also, all the guys that are bailing are typically bailing because of some large predator interaction that has completely freaked them out, except for the guy who's drinking brackish water and hallucinating. He thinks he sees Aztec symbols on the roof of his tent. He bailed out for psychological reasons. But there's no, at least in the show, there's no interaction that you had with a big scary animal. Did you just not bump into anything?
Well, my reaction's a little bit different. When I bumped into, I guess, a big scary animal, I had...
And I'm not talking about the mice. I'm not.
I had probably a dozen bear encounters while I was out there.
Okay. That you got on tape? They didn't use?
They just started running away from me.
It's like Daniel in the Lion's Den.
Yeah,
what do you mean? Give us some examples.
Did you have birds bring you food
Daniel
too?
in the Lion's Den situation.
Give us some examples, Sam.
Well, the first bear that I saw, it was maybe day. It was a while.
He does
maybe
that
day
in the show
12 or so.
Yeah.
And the first one I saw of that is I'd heard them like milling around my camp and being pests. But it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. The sun is just rising. You can just barely see a little bit of light, and I see this big old black thing come wandering out of the woods, and maybe 15 feet from where I was sleeping. I was just like, hey, like, what are you doing around here? And he took off pretty quick. But
maybe so. You think it's your voice? Do you think it's your voice?
No, I don't know what it is. I've never been able to actually get a real good look at a bear because they take off super quick. So I got to be quiet next time, I think. And
yeah, did you see? There's a kid named Joe who I think Joe was the second youngest. The guy who lost his fire starter and had to leave. Remember?
Joe, Joe is such a nice guy.
Yeah, his encounter with the bear from across a little bay was quite interesting because he's trying to scare it away and it's just staring at him. And it's a huge bear and then starts walking slowly towards him and Joe decides that Joe needs to leave. So there were quite a few bear encounters that didn't go the way yours went.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you ever see a cougar?
No, you don't really see the cougars, but they see you. That's how cougars kind of function.
Yes,
so,
Lucas put two fake eyes on the back of his stocking cap because supposedly cougars tend to attack you from behind. So he wanted the cougars to think he was looking at them.
Well, that's pretty smart if it works. Do those work?
He survived. No one got attacked by anything, but there was...
So far.
Yeah. So did you get to know, and this is just because my wife and I thought this guy was really interesting. Did you get to know Mitch?
Yeah. I mean, we got to know all of them. So.
Okay. Because Mitch was...
Well, when did you get to know them? After it's all over and you had a rap party?
No, we haven't really all gotten together since the show, but we got to know there was a little bit of camera training beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we got to know each other kind of during camera training, so...
Yeah, Mitch is the only one who had a cougar incident on camera because he caught a big salmon and then he cleaned it and cooked it in his camp.
Oh, that's not smart.
And it attracted a cougar who was about 10 feet away. In the dark, these two eyes were peering at him. But amazingly, he didn't tap out. He was like, oh, that's okay. He was real cool. He was
mellow,
real, yeah, well, that's okay. I guess that's a cougar. Okay. Okay, so you didn't have any major... What was the scariest thing that happened? Was it like the big storms?
Those storms were crazy. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were just pounding. I think guys throw around numbers, but 40, 50, 60-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah.
Up there, coming off the Pacific Ocean.
And you're in a little shack that you made out of some logs and a tarp.
Yes.
So how did yours not get blown down?
Yeah.
Well, my shelter is actually getting hated on pretty good in certain places, but if you
well, after Lucas built a yurt.
Yeah, I know.
Lucas first. A yurt it's a round tent-like structure that is popular in Mongolia.
Okay.
So he built a yurt.
So he's apparently a builder.
Yes. First, he wanted to actually build a log cabin.
Well, what else are you going to do if you're going to be in the wilderness
and he
forever?
started chopping down trees and creating logs, and he thought he'd found a source of clay so he could chink between the logs and also put together a fireplace inside. And then he discovered the clay was too low quality, and he got depressed, and he cried for a while. You got to watch it. It's hilarious. So, but yours seems solid.
Why does it get hated on?
Yeah.
Yeah, why does it get hated on?
Interior decorating?
Well, I mean, it looks kind of wobbly compared to the others, you know, because we've got that tarp flapping around.
Right.
But it's got a nice tripod, kind of where the wind is hitting it. So that's standing up really well. And no, it stood up to like 50-mile-an-hour winds like a champ. So proud of that.
I don't think you have anything to be ashamed of.
Oh, no, I'm not ashamed. I'm just, you know,
of
saying.
Of your dwelling.
So now the episode that I just was watching says there are 4 guys left, but I didn't make it all the way to the end. Do guys tap out in that episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it gets down to 2.
It's down to 2, and this Thursday is the final episode.
Who's the other one besides Sam?
Alan, the 40-year-old from Georgia, who turns out to have a very dry sense of humor. I think the producers, because he seemed really serious at first, like he wasn't really going anywhere, and then he's attempting to cook a banana slug, and suddenly flips into a Julia Child impression. My wife and I were just imagining the producers going, "Yes, we've got a live one here."
Gold.
Yes, and he ends up. He's the oldest. I think he's the oldest, and in some ways the most mature. You know, and he is just rock solid. You know, dealing with all this stuff.
So the 2 finalists, Sam's the youngest, and Alan's the oldest.
I think so.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Sam. I noticed in one of the episodes I was watching, you were thanking God for the mice that you had been able to catch. And I just wondered, how did your faith play a role during your time, however long it ended up being?
Well, when you're alone in the wilderness, everything is very real and very raw.
Yeah.
So you get to know yourself like you've never known yourself before. So Sam is fun for a little while, but after Sam has been in Sam's head for a little too long, things get crazy.
And do you know he's getting crazy when he starts speaking of himself in the third person?
Yeah, it's stuck. But anyway, you really get to ask yourself those tough questions about your life. You're like, okay, who am I? What am I doing here? Mm-hmm. What is my relationship with God like right now? Mm-hmm. Because there's no church to go to. You know, there are no Christians to stand around and sing with. Mm-hmm. So, like, what makes me a follower of Christ at this moment? Like, what's the difference between me here and me in the so-called real world, I guess? Like, what's the difference between my relationship with God here? Because I'm not being spoon-fed any Jesus, you know, when I'm out on Vancouver Island at all.
Right.
And so everything becomes very real. You don't fake things. You can't fake things because there's no point. There's no one to fake
watching.
It to.
Right. Were you tempted to fake it to the camera?
Well, you could have, but after a while, you totally forget that you're filming a television show. You're just like, this is my life. I have to film it. Mm-hmm. I guess it's going to be on TV, but I don't really care. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do out here.
It's like a job. You have to turn this camera on because that's your job, but really you're focused on living and survival. So it's there, but it's not really there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, it's there, yeah.
I got a question then. I mean, I think it's wonderful. I just did a sermon yesterday about Jesus in the wilderness being tempted, and we talked about the importance of being alone, that you really can't have a meaningful communion with God if you don't know how to be alone. But how did your alone time, or these different times you've been in the wilderness for extended periods, how does that translate when you come back out of it into your ordinary life? Do you just crave constant external stimulation and engagement with people, or do you still find yourself wanting those periods of aloneness or solitude that you're taking in mass quantities when you're out on Vancouver Island?
Right now, I'm craving solitude. Like, I would have given anything to talk to more people when I was out there, you know, like just to have a conversation with someone. But it goes from complete isolation being out there to complete overload when you get out. Because the first thing you do is get on a plane in a busy airport and you go to a busy town and you know, everything is busy, fast, and there's people everywhere and distractions everywhere. So it's a completely different sort of environment. And I think there needs to be like a healthy mix of solitude in your life so you can actually sit down and think and to ask yourself hard questions and to just stop coasting, for a minute, to just be kind of like free to be real with yourself.
And that's the part that we've talked about this on the podcast before that scares me about the constant engagement with digital media, social media, is we're never alone anymore. And so we never get to know what's really going on inside of us. And without that, you can't cultivate a meaningful communion with God.
Right. What's interesting about the show, and it is worth watching, and I watched it on Comcast On Demand, so you should be able to find it on demand or on the History Channel website. Ding! Yeah. It's a different brand. Mm-hmm. Was that the first few episodes are all about the survival skills. And then, when it's just the 4 guys left that all know how to survive, it becomes completely about psychology of being alone. Mm-hmm. It's like a completely different show, but it's just amazing.
Are they all introverts, or can you tell? Like, could an extrovert possibly survive psychologically in that environment?
Well, why do you think I said I would tap out after like half a day?
I don't know if you could. Can you pull like a Tom Hanks and start making friends with a volleyball? And
I would.
Use that
in the first half day.
Yeah. Well, some of them kind of use the camera that way.
Yeah.
But Sam, would you say you're an introvert?
It's such a goofy thing to try to assess in myself because my life makes no sense. Like I got there's a psych analysis before the show, and the psychologist was like, "Sam, are you a Christian?" And I was like, yes, and he was like, oh, "Okay, that makes sense." And I was like, "What? Why is this guy telling me this?" He's like, "Well, your questions, they were different than a normal person's questions would be." I was like, "Oh, okay. Why is that?" He said, "Well, you were like your thought process doesn't always like stick to what it should. So it's like some of your thoughts say that you're like really crazy and out there and you love to like have fun but you also believe in like a God that's out there, and that's kind of thought to be insane in some ways." So there's that goes into it, and there's also the fact of like introvert versus extrovert type deal. A lot of my questions I would answer as an introvert. Some of them were an extrovert. I'm kind of like the fun-loving guy who also reads Thoreau, sort of, to an extent. So there's like the side of me that really, really likes to be alone, and the side of me that is with people, but I get uncomfortable sometimes, but I like people a lot.
Right.
Like one of the things I do is I've actually done a lot of speaking, like
public speaking,
style speaking, motivational style speaking before, and I love that. Like I'm super into it. But then afterwards, I just want to like hide.
That sounds like Phil. That's you.
That's kind of like me.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you.
I'm Sam. Send me to the wilderness.
You would never make it.
I will eat mice.
No way.
How many days did you just have a mouse a day?
Oh, it all blends together after a while. I think
that's a theme of the show for a while. Is Sam has nothing today but a mouse. Yep.
And I guess that's what it was like kind of at that part of the show. I was more focused on the sea early on.
Yeah.
And I kept eating those crabs, but I was like craving a big old steak.
Yeah.
And
so
that's the closest thing out there to steak is mouse.
Yeah.
How does mouse taste?
Delicious.
No, seriously.
If you're
I mean, if you're
so...
No, hold on. Pretend you're not starving. If you weren't starving, how would the mouse taste?
Mouse tastes very, very similar to deer.
Don't say chicken.
Deer to deer.
To deer. Okay.
Deer.
Yep.
So how big were these mice? Are they just little?
Not big.
Little mice.
Yeah.
Not like a
And
New York rat or something.
You got to watch the show. He would skin them. He would gut them, but it was like in miniature.
Yeah.
And then he would finally get it down to just the little meat, and it's like this big, and then he would like put it on a stick and put it over the fire. It was like a chicken wing. It was like, hey, I give a chicken wing today.
Interesting.
Half a chicken wing.
Did you have to eat any bugs?
No, I didn't really eat bugs, but it's funny because they give a comparison in the show to a pizza roll.
Yes.
I got to meet whoever does the captions for a while.
Yeah, that was impressive.
They're good.
Said a pizza roll is about the same amount of calories as a mouse.
One pizza roll is one mouse, apparently.
Well, that's not very much.
It's a pizza roll a day.
Well,
Sam, he was living on.
Sam, can I get back to the deeper questions of
how much weight did you lose?
No, stop.
I'm kidding.
Where did you go to the bathroom?
No. This is a Christian podcast. Come on
Bushcrafting's
now.
a great diet.
So Sky had asked you some really thoughtful questions, talking about, what was it like after you came back. I'm interested to know, what did you learn about yourself spiritually when you're there? And did you meet God or encounter him in that environment? And if so, what did you learn about him, or how were you changed in that way?
Well, going into things, I landed on my little spot, basically, and my mind was still turned to, like, Sam in Busy City mode at that point. Like, it wasn't all real right away. So I was kind of in that, like, okay, God, see you tomorrow morning, 8:30 for 7 minutes type of mode. But that, over the course of a few weeks, changes to, like, I guess you could say what it's actually supposed to be, like continuous prayer almost, to an extent. Your entire being is thinking about your spiritual health in every way. You're starving. Most of those days I was getting like 200 to 500 calories. 200 to 500 calories. So, it was like this act of, at the beginning, it's a little bit awkward still between yourself and God. And as it progresses and you get broken a little bit more and a little more vulnerable, you start to realize what's really important in your life and the things that you really should be paying more attention to in the real world, the things that you don't want to take for granted, like an incredible relationship with Christ. And about week 3 or 4 is when I kind of hit the sweet spot in that. And it was just like a total immersion of, speaking to the Lord really, really, really often. And that was like an enormous part of my day. I would wake up, I would drink a pot full of pine needle tea, and I would just pray. And that was the first like couple hours of my day, is, getting hydrated physically and spiritually with the Lord, and then kind of living with it throughout the day. So if something goes terribly wrong, like you don't get anything to eat, you're still just thinking of God and thinking of, what are his plans for me being here? And if things go even slightly well, like you get a nice size mouse, that's just like, oh, thank you so much. I'm so thankful for this little
your daily bread.
Yeah, I think one of the sweetest moments in the whole series is you thanking God for a meal that is a mouse. And another one is Mitch, when Mitch says a prayer of thanks for the salmon that he found, the one like big meal his whole time. And he says, it's a really beautiful little prayer, thanking God for it. So it's amazing that you put people in that circumstance. There's opportunity for real honest spirituality to come out. And it's not contrived in any way. It's not, the Duggars saying, this is where we pray on the show, or Duck Dynasty saying, now we wrap up the show with a prayer. It's just like, wow, I have calories. Thank you, God. Right. What can you carry back into your daily life now? Are you still insisting on starting each day with a pot of pine needle tea and 2 hours of prayer?
Well, it's actually a really awkward thing now, because you know what it's like to go through all this solitude and just be continuously thinking about that. And being in your normal everyday life where there is a lot of distraction and busy things all around you, you feel a little bit guilty because a lot of times that you get so distracted that you're not spending enough time with God. And, some of the goals even that I made out there, I haven't been able to maintain maybe as well as I would have liked. When I came back, making got an incredibly important, being in my household and really leading my family like that. And that's something I have to, try harder and harder with every single day, is just being accountable when there are places to hide.
Right.
Out there's nowhere to hide, and here you can hide anywhere you want.
Right.
I just have to say one thing.
Yes.
He sounds incredibly unlike any other 22-year-old I have ever talked to. I just have to say, I've never, ever spoken to another 22-year-old like you.
What if all 22-year-olds were required to live alone in the woods for a month?
This would be a different world.
More than half of them would be eaten.
That is true.
By the other half of them.
That's true.
Right.
For a lot of human history, it was that way, though.
And most of them
Yeah.
didn't survive.
We've gotten
Just-
soft. We've gotten soft, Sam.
So
Should we all go to bushcraft school? Is that what we're saying here?
Exactly.
I have
You
one
nailed
final
it.
question.
Yeah.
So we don't know how the show ends yet, obviously.
No,
you
we
can't tell
don't.
us that.
Your wife's had her baby, right?
Yes.
How son or daughter?
He's a boy,
old?
Alaska Larsen, and he's a big old 6-month-old.
Oh,
wow.
I like
Alaska.
that.
Alaska
Were you home when he was born?
Oh, I can't
We
say.
can't say that.
say.
All right, but here was my final question.
No, I don't think that's really that secretive.
Oh, really? Well, were you home when he was born?
Yeah.
Maybe just let's stay away from it.
We'll move on.
Check the Facebook.
if-
Yeah, check
If
Facebook.
you-
Check the tweeter.
If you had the opportunity to do this again, would you do it?
Oh.
Yeah. I would absolutely do it again, like in a heartbeat. I'm really not as confident as I maybe should be in my filming abilities. So I would maybe do it again without a camera.
But then we
Maybe-
wouldn't get to
maybe with the-
watch.
What?
Then we wouldn't get to watch.
I would write about it.
Oh.
Yeah, you could do that.
I think we should make. I think we should send Phil out there, but he has to bring a puppet.
Yeah, I'll bring a puppet and a ukulele.
That
Hey,
would
you
be.
could
And
work
the bear-
some wonders.
that
with
will keep the bears
puppet
away.
out there.
I think you need to come to Wheaton and give a survival course. I'll take it.
Yeah, Sam's survival school.
Yeah.
Well, I have a sister in Chicago, so
Hey.
Oh yeah.
come
Well,
on
maybe
in.
we'll have you live on the podcast.
Maybe
Come visit her.
he could give us
Hey.
suburban survival guide.
I don't think he knows anything about that.
no, I would fail. If I had to live in Chicago, I wouldn't make it.
All right, I have to wrap it up now with a song.
Thank you so much, Sam. It was
Yeah,
so nice to meet you.
That was really awesome,
Thank you, guys.
Sam. Hang on, don't go away yet. We're wrapping up with your very own song. We spent the day with a guy named Sam. He spent a month eating nothing but clams and a mouse or two that he could catch under a rock down by the sea. Whoopsie. He smashed
go.
him. He smashed him under a rock.
Oh,
he made a
that's so
really
sad.
cool. No, it's happy.
I wonder if he
tenderizing.
feels bad about killing the
No,
animals.
he doesn't. He doesn't.
How can you not feel
it's all
bad?
part of God's plan.
They're little mice.
It's all part of God's beautiful plan for that mouse. He's back home now with his wife named Sydney. Hopefully he's recovered and his diet didn't mess with his kidneys. He's got a child and he's gonna take him camping and bushcrafting too. 'Cause in the woods, no one hears you poo. Oh, that was
Phil.
terrible. So thanks for Sam, for all you do. And come back on the show sometime again and say hi to your dad. All right.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.